see where we are. Jesus, it takes off. It's amazing.
I don't want to call it the new breed because that's an old expression, but
Well, you know, it's sort of like rock and roll and rap. They're both music. You just like one more than the other.
Yeah.
Or you can like both.
Yeah, you can like both.
Welcome to another episode of Jay Leno's Garage, the car featuring today 1968 Porsche, which to the average person or even to the enthusiast would appear to be 100% stock. Oh, sure, you got some different headlights and a few Rennsport looking things going, different wheels. Well, I'll give you a hint. This is built by a company called Zelectric. Okay, that should give you a little clue as to what's going on. This has a Tesla powertrain with about the third of the weight of a Tesla. Let's meet David and Trent. Come on in, you guys. These are the retro futurists. Is that what you said?
All right, I'll take it.
I like that. But you take older things and you bring them into the 21st century by electrifying them.
Very much so. We love the design of these cars, the vintage VWs and Porsches, of course. We love the way they look. Not so much the dependability and the tinkering with them. I'd rather just spend more time driving them.
I'm sure you get this all the time. There must be those guys with nooses standing behind, Porsche guys standing behind barns waiting for you to come around to string you up for modifying. But you could go back to stock if one wanted, correct?
Yes, we don't cut or weld anything.
Okay, you see?
Right.
Okay, see. Now before you start throwing, dear Mr. Leno, I will never watch, okay, just, you can go back to stock and then so you take the stock engine, and this is a 912, which is basically the Volkswagen, and not that far from Volkswagen. It's not the true Porsche 911. Okay. I'm just trying to lessen the pain here for the Porsche files that are watching this. So you can go back at any time. Body's not been modified, hasn't been chopped, hasn't been cut. A lot of guys just use an off-the-shelf electric motor with not nearly the horsepower that the Tesla has. So this has got to move pretty good, doesn't it?
Oh, it's extremely quick.
Yeah.
And we're really amazed how nicely the Tesla drive unit fits into this car. It's just like it was meant to be in there.
Yeah, it may have been a different motor if the packaging didn't lend itself so well to using that same engine and transaxle location, as well as more batteries in back.
Right.
So, yeah.
So this is the drivetrain from the front engine of a Tesla or the rear engine?
This is the rear engine.
The rear. So it literally comes out. It doesn't drop right in, obviously. There's a bit of work involved.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah.
not crazy?
No, not crazy. There's essentially a subframe that holds the Tesla, we'll call it a drive unit, because it's also a transaxle with a differential coupled to it. I wouldn't call it transaxle, it's just differential, we'll say.
Right.
And that's your reduction everything in a little 300-pound unit that you just stick axles to it, and you've got a whole motor and transaxle.
Now, if I had an old Porsche, could I bring it to you to be converted? Do you find the Porsches yourself and convert them, or is it whatever the customer wants?
We always work with client-owned cars.
Right.
At the end of the process, they are bespoke. This one is green because that's the way the client wanted it. It was gray. We repainted it. But we don't do complete restorations. There's a whole lot of work and money and time involved in that. So we do source cars for some of our clients. We find cars that are in good condition and good running condition.
Right.
And we'll take that good running motor out. Some clients will want to keep the engine with the car, and most of our clients will find someone. There's always someone who wants a good running Porsche engine, so we can
that's
play
the tricky
matchmaker
thing.
there.
I mean, a lot of people, you're taking something that's extremely valuable already, and whether you're increasing the cost, whether you're making it more valuable, has yet to be seen, I suppose. Do you hear from Porsche people that are upset? Does that happen to you very often?
Once, yeah, in the social media circles, yeah, a few times. There's some vocal people out
Right.
there.
But like you say, you can go back at any time.
Yeah.
I have a lot of modified cars here, and I'll put disc brakes on them and do a few other things. If you wanted to really go back to drum brakes, sure, I guess you could if you wanted to. And the fact that this is done so nicely, I don't see, it's not sitting high up, or it's not 2 inches off the ground because it's so damn heavy, or any of that kind of nonsense. I mean, everything appears to be as it should. I mean, if you went to a Porsche meet and parked this, I don't think anyone would suspect that it was electric, correct?
No, they might just walk by. unless we have the rear end opened up, and then they would.
And the fact that there's no gear shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. The other thing that's really important is to keep the car driving like a Porsche.
Right.
You know, you don't want to add a bunch of weight to something because then it really ruins the handling that these cars are known for, too.
How much does a Porsche drivetrain weigh on its own, approximately? Do you know?
Approximately 375, transaxle, engine, exhaust, all of it coupled together.
Okay. And how much does the Tesla drivetrain with batteries weigh?
With the rear batteries, front batteries, all of it, you're looking at about 600 to 625 pounds. So we're adding about 300 pounds to it. Sure.
Well, that's not so bad.
No, not that bad at all.
I mean, yeah, you're still pretty close to 3,000 pounds, about, maybe, right?
25.
Yeah.
This is 25?
2505.
Yep.
And we made it. The weight distribution is better. There's more up front than there was originally.
Right.
We've upgraded all the suspension. You know, you put all this torque and horsepower in a car that was designed to have a 90 horsepower engine.
Right.
There's a ripple effect that affects other things, so we upgrade all
And
the
of course-
suspension and brakes are upgraded.
Yeah, and once again, your weight doesn't shift because you don't have fluids. You don't have,
Right,
15
right.
gallons of gas.
Yeah, once you corner balance this car, you're set. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what kind of range do you get?
You can get it 120 if you drive it like a Porsche.
Okay.
You can eke out 140.
So I guess the disadvantage would be you couldn't go off for the weekend, really.
We could have driven the car up here, but then we would have to charge up for about 6 hours to go back.
Okay. Because I know when you go out, you'll put 300 miles on a weekend on a sports car if you really could. So that's probably the only drawback. I imagine batteries are just getting better and better, aren't they? So that's something.
They're
Yeah.
going to continue to get smaller and
Right.
charge quicker. Yeah.
Right. The larger capacity version of this is already in the works. You know, so the next car will have 45 kilowatt hours as opposed to this 32, and then keep going from there.
So how does it work? Do you scour, you don't call them junkyards anymore, I guess dismantlers looking for wrecked Teslas? How does that work? You can't buy a Tesla engine from Tesla, can you?
No. So the motors do come from dismantled cars, but the suppliers we buy them from, they're warranted. They've been gone through new
Right.
fluids, and there's so few moving parts in an electric motor that the only thing they have to warranty really are the two bearings at either end of that large induction motor.
Aren't there aftermarket, just like crate engines, crate motors that you can buy that would be cheaper than getting a secondhand Tesla? Or is Tesla just the best?
Tesla is the most dependable.
Right, okay.
But there are a number of things in the works, and they'll be coming to this show in a few years, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it seems like crate motors is the next, because that's what's happened. You know, the old days, you have one guy do the cams, another guy do the pistons, somebody else assembles the motor, and then when it blows up, they each blame the other guy. So at least when you get a crate engine from Chevrolet or Ford or Chrysler,
Yeah.
you put it in, and
Yeah.
same thing here. Oh, very
I know
cool.
the OEMs like Chevrolet are working on that right now. You know, last year at SEMA they debuted a crate engine like that was a drop-in answer, especially for cars that have a traditional third member in the back. You know, those are great solutions.
Now, do you have regen like you have in a Tesla?
Yes, and we can dial that in based on the driver.
One thing I kind of like, I guess it's the Volt and a couple other cars, have the regen on the steering wheel. So, if I'm traveling at high speed, instead of hitting the brakes, I can hit the regen and put some electricity in. Can you do that? Or
Well, this is a one-pedal driving experience, and I really like that because I basically, in a 20-mile drive on the highway and around town, I might not have to put the brakes on, the physical brakes, until I'm on a hill to hold myself.
right.
That's
Just to
about
hold
it.
it. Standard Porsche discs up front, or
All the suspension and the brakes have all been upgraded to like the equivalent of a 77 RS.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So all vented rotors.
And you have two trunks.
We sure do.
There was a really funny ad that some photographer took for, he was shooting women's fashion, and showed this woman going on a trip, and she had the rear hatch open, she's putting her luggage, as if she's putting her luggage in there, and everybody laughed and thought it was a funny ad because you can't do that. The engine's back there, the
Right.
photographer, for whatever reason. Anyway, but this one you could, because, can we show that? Let's show what we have back here.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing.
I like that little hinge.
Yeah, they're kind of a RS America homage.
Oh, this is very nice. Okay.
That's it.
And this is your 110-volt charger here, correct?
Yeah, you can charge this up next to a toaster.
Okay.
Yeah, or drive out to Palm Springs and just trickle charge overnight and make your way back.
Could but I could put a 220 charger on this, correct? No problem.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, a Tesla charger with an adapter.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's your charging port right there?
No,
That's
oh, that's a on-off switch.
Yeah, that's a safety cutoff switch.
Right.
In case you do get into a scenario where you need to be pulled from the car, that way firefighters just cut all high voltage.
In electric vehicles, all power wires are orange, correct?
Correct.
So you do that here too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a 400-volt system, so you know, potentially dangerous if you get in one of those crash scenarios.
Is that the law? I guess it has to be orange?
You know, there's not any laws stipulating that, but we just take it upon ourselves to add all the safety features we can to make it safer than it was in 1968.
Right. Well, I have my 1914 Detroit Electric over there, which you saw.
I saw it.
Yeah, and they're all orange as well. Well, I mean, the work looks beautiful, gentlemen. It really is nice. Can we see the front? Let's close this up.
Oh, push that spring.
Oh, I see. There we go. Oh, I like that.
The charge port is actually back here.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Oh, so you don't have to have the trunk open.
This car arrived with the original fuel filler shaved or covered up.
Right.
So the fender is all nice and smooth.
And is this solar panel?
It is, and that's going to simply top off your 12-volt battery.
Okay.
We retain the 12-volt battery system, turns the car on, turns the car system on, runs a Bluetooth stereo, wipers, lights.
It's funny, most people don't realize electric cars also have, a Tesla has a 12-volt battery in the back seat. People have no idea that. You know?
Right.
I had a little Fiat electric that my wife was using, and it had they came with these terrible Italian 12-volt batteries that would just go, one day, they didn't get weak. It wasn't like, what's that? It just, that's it, and you're stuck.
Yeah.
And I actually jumped it. I thought, can I use jumper cables on this? And it worked. It started it, and I got the big electric, and then I changed the battery.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's notorious of those AGM absorbed gas mat batteries. They just go out like that.
Yeah, that was it. Lasted about 18 months, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll leave it to Fiat to put one of those in there.
Yeah. Let's see the front.
All right. So up front, there's a little bit of a Rennsport feel as well, which is performance Porsche enthusiasts. And up here, you also have the rest of the battery pack. So there's about 16 kilowatt hour of batteries there.
Right.
And so half of the capacity of the car up front. And chargers up here as well. And you'll see those orange high voltage cables there.
Right.
And the rest of it is factory Porsche.
Boy, it's beautifully done, gentlemen. It looks factory. Have you heard from the Porsche factory folks on this? What do they think?
I don't know. They contacted you, I thought.
I'm not at liberty to say right now.
Oh, I see. Well, no, I understand, because even Singer...
They're very interested.
Even Singer can't use Porsche.
Right.
So protective of their name.
They're aware of what we're doing, and they're very excited about it. There's, people love these cars, and this is just, in my opinion, is just raising more awareness for the Porsche brand.
I think it's fabulous. I think it's great. The thing that hurt electric cars early on to me is the same thing that hurt the replica car industry. They were just done badly, and they didn't, like replicas had that kind of, just everything's off just a fraction,
Right.
And I remember just a lot of the early electric, they would sit up too high, or they look clumsy, and they had that kind of golf cart. And they said they went 100, but they went maybe 48 miles an hour, and just all the usual sort of problems. And then when you see it done like this, it really sells it. It really takes it home. It's just beautiful, beautiful job.
Yeah.
Let's see what else can we see. I like this is all your work here. These do you drill these pieces yourself?
Well, that's from a manufacturer called Rennline. Those are things that the original customer added because he wanted kind of a Rennsport looking car.
Gotcha.
And then we mimicked that with other panels to kind of try to complete the look of what is essentially an outlaw look Porsche 911.
And that's your standard 12-volt battery.
Standard 12-volt. And since this car doesn't have a starter motor, you can go with a much smaller 12-volt. You don't need all the cold cranking amps.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you forget the things you don't need.
Right. Yeah. So really, all that does is click over a couple contactors to get your high voltage system running. And then after that, it's all taken care of by the high voltage, but at 12 volts.
Yeah, this really adapts quite nicely. I drove a Fiat 124 once that had the electric, and that kept the transmission, which was actually interesting.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. It was kind of fun.
I did that. That was a car for electric GT, and I did that conversion as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It drove very nicely.
Yeah.
I guess, did the owner want to keep the stick? Because there's no reason to have a trans.
Right, they kept the stick. That's a lower horsepower motor too. So you still want gears to get up and off the line pretty quick.
Here's what I never quite understood. They say you don't need a transmission in an electric car. Okay, I got that. But if I put a transmission in and I put it into fourth or fifth or an overdrive, and the electric engine is turning slower, aren't I getting more range or no?
Well, it comes down to the way that electric motor works. If you're turning the motor slower, but you still need that power, then you're using more current, right?
Right.
And what makes power is current and voltage.
Gotcha.
So basically, the best way to approach an electric motor is that it's got this happy region, which is usually from 0 to however many RPM according to the voltage of the motor.
Right.
So it's kind of like turning a gas engine all the way out at 13,000 RPM all day. You can do that, but it's not the efficient portion of the motor to use.
Well, I guess my question is, though, with a transmission, because I remember when Elon came out with the first Roadster, I drove that. I had the 2-speed transmission.
Yeah.
And I broke it. I felt bad.
I don't think you're the only one.
It couldn't take the torque. It just, and I wasn't beating on it. I just shifted and put my foot in it, and it just, there's so much torque. It's unlike a gas engine. You know, a gas engine, you need the transmission because it's not powerful enough to do it in one gear.
Yeah.
But an electric engine, you are. But is it possible to save, quote, electricity for range by using a transmission, or you just might as well not even bother?
There's two schools of thought on that, and I believe the short answer is that yes, you can get more efficient by adding a transmission. But when you do that, there's parasitic drag loss from the meshing gears.
Right.
So,
and you're adding weight.
Yeah, and you're adding weight. So it's give and take, and there's a little bit nicer driving feel when it is just a 1-gear motor.
Right, because it's smooth all the way through the range. Okay. Well, very good. Can we take this one for a ride?
Yes, let's please do.
I would love to drive.
All right.
Oh, this should be fun. There we go. I'm going to move the seat back a little bit.
Oh, yeah, please do. I don't know where it is. I think it's on the inside.
Just turn the key, and we're on, huh?
Yeah. So you turn the key on, put your foot on the brake.
Right.
And listen to all the water slosh around, then we're going to hit drive.
Oh, I see. Okay, you have the gauges down there.
Yeah, so these are all your temperatures. That's your voltage, that's your 12-volt voltage, and your power is up here.
So what I'm hearing is the water pumps for the battery and the engine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just sort of...
Like you're driving your Model S.
Wow.
Nice and easy.
Oh, yeah, boy. Hopefully, you can chirp the tires easy on this thing.
Yeah. We definitely, when I was testing this, had to take off customer tires and put on a set of our own Fuchs on there. Because you test it, and all of a sudden, when those things light up, there's a lot of rubber left on that fender. But the responsiveness, too, of that Model S.
Yeah, it really does. It's hilarious. It's very funny.
Well, you have to remember, too, I mean, that's a motor out of a 5,000-pound car.
Right.
And this thing weighs about 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, so, you know, lose weight, add horsepower.
Yeah, yeah. You get up to 100, I think this thing will top out about 135 or 140. But God, I don't know if I want to do that in such a short wheelbase car, too.
Oh boy, this really did.
It's got some get up.
It's got to be one of the fastest Porsches ever.
It's pretty quick. You know, we've never done a real 0 to 60 time on it.
Right.
But the car that I did that was a wide fender car, we clocked at about 2.6 0 to 60.
Now, you've driven the Taycan, right? Or Taycan or Taycan?
No, I haven't driven a Taycan.
Oh, you haven't?
No, not yet. I'm waiting on that call from, you know, the Peach family, so.
It's nice. I drove it. It's nice.
Yeah, I heard it was very seamless drivability.
Well, it's got the Porsche handle. I mean, it handles like a Porsche.
Yeah.
I would say that Tesla's faster
Okay.
and has more. I think Tesla is 8 years ahead of everybody else in battery technology.
Yeah.
I mean, easy. They seem to just be.
They've got all the data, you know? They've been logging every single mile on every car.
You know, it's so funny. We have such a low self-esteem problem in America. People always said, oh, you know, Tesla will be dead. All these others will be dead when the Europeans get involved. But I look at a lot of new European electrics. They go 225, 250 most on a charge.
Yeah.
You know, you know, Tesla's next 400, 500 is the next number.
Yeah, you know, there's something really to be said, too, about the aero package on those cars.
Right.
Because that lent itself a lot to the range that it's got.
Right.
I want to drive the new, that plaid mode car.
I drove it.
Yeah. I heard, you know, they took that thing out to the Nürburgring, and they had something like 11 different coolant pumps running on that thing to keep it cool.
Right.
Yeah. They're putting a lot of development into those. I'm a Tesla fan, you know?
Well, I like it, you know. I like it primarily because it's the fastest, most powerful four-door thing you can buy. Oh, and it's environmentally friendly, too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I like the performance part.
Yeah.
If I have to choose between performance and then equal performance but environmentally friendly, I'll go with the environmentally friendly one.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a little cherry on top, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Then the only thing you're burning is tires.
I mean, I was in the Roadster, and oh my God, that thing is fast.
Oh, the new Roadster.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Yeah,
I mean, it's still a prototype, but
yeah, they're really claiming with that thing it's supposed to have 600-mile range.
600 miles, 620, and what is it?
Like sub 2 seconds, 0 to 60.
Million-mile guarantee on the motor or some crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing a lot of development in those batteries, especially getting all the rare earth metals out of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real endeavor into the ecology of it.
I'm not a big fan of those wheel hub motors that the Aptera has.
You know, they just don't have the amount of torque that.
That's right. It's
like.
just, and then you've got wires going, external wires going to your wheel hubs, which if somebody comes at me, you know, it just looks like you're
throwing something high voltage out there in the world to get smacked off.
You see where we are. Jesus, it takes off. It's amazing.
Yeah. There's a reason we do this. I can chirp tires at 45.
And I like two-wheel drive. I like rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, you get a lot of feedback. And these cars, you know, it is still pretty rear-end heavy. So the 911s, if you want to keep it going straight, you have to stay in it a little bit.
It's so funny. I like either a lot of noise or the absence of noise.
Yeah.
I hate just a droning kind of nothing in the middle, you know?
Right. Yeah, and this car's great. You still get that little bit of whine,
right?
And that's all mostly gear noise. I mean, that motor back there will turn 16,000 RPM. You know, like a gas engine, it doesn't make much power out there.
Yeah.
But when you're doing 140, 150 miles an hour on a Model S, that little motor's spinning in there. All off of a rotor that's only about 6 inches in diameter.
Yeah. Oh boy, the regen really does work, huh?
Yeah. If it were up to me, I'd have much less of that.
Less regen.
Less regen. I'm not so much a fan of the one pedal stuff.
Well, that's what I like about. Is it the Volt and some of the others? You've got it right here. So
yeah, the flappy paddles.
You pull that, and I can get full regen if I want to stop. But I like to coast too.
Yeah. I like that feature too. I might try and integrate that where you have some kind of paddle on the back of the steering wheel.
I mean, the Tesla, you've actually got to go to the screen to change it.
Yeah, and that's how this is too.
Yeah.
If we wanted to, we could change the regen right now. And like I said too, you know, all that regenerative braking makes you start thinking about thermal management. And we're just trying to make these cars as user-friendly as possible, where it's just the fuel gauge tells you how much juice you got, the temp gauge tells you what the motor temp is, or the most crucial.
Oh, this is my fuel, I guess, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you in trouble at? Same thing, 210 or above?
Yeah. 210 or above, you're in trouble.
And what is the TAC really doing?
TAC is actually telling you the rotor speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's RPM of the motor.
So that's the actual RPM of the motor.
Well, it's supposed to have call that half RPM.
Right.
Because it's supposed to have a 16,000 RPM tach in there. But getting those from VDO is not that easy.
Yeah. I think this is as fast as the Taycan. Taycan, isn't it?
Taycan. Well, yeah, you know, it weighs a lot less. But I'll say the Taycan's definitely got more range and is more a two-consumer
How much more would this weigh to get a 300 or 400 mile range?
You'd probably be looking at another 400 pounds, 450 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's not so much the performance hit, but you know, you start affecting things like handling.
Yeah.
And what we've kind of noticed with that too is, sure, you can add more batteries, but maybe the better way to go is just to increase the charge rate.
Right.
The faster you charge, the more it's feasible to do it in different places on the road.
But the only downside, like on a Saturday, you can only go 60 miles from home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something we're working on. You know, there's the next iteration of this whole kit is more capacity.
Yeah.
With roughly the same weight. So just like the OEMs, you know, we're waiting on battery technology to kind of come around, and it's taking baby steps, but we're getting there.
Have you driven the Mach-E?
No, I haven't driven the Mach-E. I've got a ride in one coming up in the next couple weeks.
It's good.
Yeah?
I mean, it's impressive, you know?
You know what I'm impressed with is how quickly Ford got that produced.
Yeah.
And in the hands of customers. It seemed like they spit that thing out in a year or less.
No, I think you're looking at years and years of work on that.
Probably, but you know, they didn't really let on to the fact that it was production ready until 9 months before it was in customers' hands.
They've gotten smart. The Ford GT, nobody knew they were even building it until they unveiled the finished product at the Detroit Auto Show.
Right.
And it just crushed the NSX. I mean, that was boom.
Yeah. Well, just the amount of power, you know? And the Ford GT was definitely a hush-hush project for a long time.
Yeah.
I saw you've got a couple Ford GTs, don't you?
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah.
They're great.
They drive nicely?
Very nicely, yeah, very much so. I like that the American auto manufacturers are now, they're all engineers, everybody. Mary Barra, you know, Mark Royce, all
Yeah.
those guys. They're not guys from Zenith or Whirlpool, you know, they're in charge of refrigerator sales, now they're doing cars.
Yeah.
But that's what it used to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you could call Mary Barra a career CEO, but she does at least have that engineering background.
Yeah,
you know? I think GM's going the right direction. That Hummer is certainly going to be interesting.
I told you, I drove it, it's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really impressive. It was like you're in a building that moves, this big thing. It just goes, well, hey.
Yeah. They're still as wide as the old Hummers were, weren't they?
No, it's a little narrower.
Okay.
It looks like maybe a little more obese Suburban, you know?
Yeah, okay. So, still streetable though.
Very much so.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I heard they gave the first one to LeBron, right?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Because he was supposed to be the spokesperson for it. So Jay, what do you have that we're going to convert?
I don't know. I got to think of what I should convert. We should do something. Because I'm very impressed with this.
Should we do a Duesenberg?
Yeah, Duesenberg would be a good thing to do.
Do a doozy? Well, you know, I got to say, everything in your garage seems to run pretty well. It's hard to take out something that
It all
works.
runs good, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I am doing it now with my Detroit Electric.
Yeah.
My 1914. It's got Bluetooth, it's got air conditioning.
Oh, you've got AC in there. I like it.
I'll show you the stereo system.
Yeah.
But it's period.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you'll see.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got to see it then. I don't even know what period is for that period.
Well, figure what's the oldest radio? Maybe 29, 30.
Yeah, like we're talking vacuum tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in commuting in LA traffic on the 405 and a 426 Hemi? I mean,
Yeah.
you're just wasting fuel.
You're not using any of that horsepower.
No.
Yeah.
So you use your electric, and then during the week, on the weekends, you take out your fun car.
Yeah. You know, on that note too, I've got a lot of friends that have Model S's and Teslas that they take to the track.
Right.
They're car enthusiasts that buy those cars. I don't want to call it the new breed because that's an old expression, but
it's sort of like rock and roll and rap. They're both music. You just like one more than the other.
Yeah.
Or you can like both.
Yeah, you can like both.
But that's the most common question. Oh, you must hate those electric.
Yeah. You know, 4 years ago, we were getting a lot more flack about taking out a gas engine out of a Porsche and replacing it with electric.
Sure.
You know, the Volkswagen crowd never really scoffed at it so much, but the Porsche guys did, because it had that stigma of being slow and performance. That's one of the things I really like about this car is that it retains that performance steering feel. It's predictable braking, accelerates like hell. You know, the muscle car guys are kind of starting to get into this too. And that's where some of those, you were talking about electric crate motors.
Right.
Yeah, there's more and more people kind of producing those that just replace a small block and a turbo 350. Shit, you just pop them right in now. I've got a car going for SEMA this year that's a 65 Mustang.
Right.
And you'll see it. It's about all the builders, but it's a full Tesla battery pack in it, and it should be a 250-mile range car.
The nice thing is they don't call it voltage rate, or your power meter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Doesn't fly. Yeah, that's why, I had a first generation EV1 for a while.
Oh, man.
And you would step on the accelerator and you go down to 5, 10 miles per gallon. Oh, gee, I'm gonna get.
Oh, it was like a live range thing.
Yeah, it would do this.
Yeah.
So unless you were you almost had to come to a complete stop and wait and see where the gauge centered itself.
Yeah.
But I would drive home from the studio, which is 18 miles, and I'd like, oh man, I'm tiptoeing on the way back. I'm just coasting down the hill. I'm not touching anything, you know.
Yeah.
I barely made it each time.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you drive a Model S, right?
Yeah, I've got one there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing they've done really well is the range estimation stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, they're like 8 years ahead of a lot of manufacturers.
You know, I gotta say, this is one of the best electric cars I've ever driven. Even better than original equipment stuff, because A, it's two-wheel drive is what I like.
Yeah.
Most two-wheel drives electric don't give you the full power until they put it into a four-wheel drive configuration. I like the fact you've got all this power with the two-wheel drive. I like the fact that it's a 2,500-pound car. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's an electric hot rod, you know, and it gives you all that power to play with.
Yeah.
Just like original hot rodders did with gas engines.
Well, you've done an excellent job, guys. It's really fun. And it's nice that you've kept the spirit and sort of the ethos of the whole Porsche thing.
Of course.
But just supplying the power a little bit differently. And dare I say better. I mean, obviously, I would rather have this than the 90 horsepower this thing came with, you know?
Right, yeah. And you don't feel bad about laying into the throttle.
No, because that's right. You just plug it in and, you know, like making a piece of toast.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thanks again for bringing this. And
of course.
Anytime you have something new you want folks to see, we'd love to show it to them. So bring it on by.
Great. Thank you for driving it, Jay.
Let's put our foot in it. See you guys next week.
Right.